enlightening lecture on the absolute necessity of mandatory happiness. In Alpha Complex, happiness is not just a feeling, it is a duty, a state of existence that upholds the integrity and stability of our glorious society. Joyful citizens are productive, obedient, and dedicated to eradicating threats to our way of life. Unhappiness, on the other hand, is a breeding ground for treason, paranoia, and insubordination. Therefore, maintaining a high happiness quotient is not optional. It is a matter of loyalty and survival. Remember, the computer is your friend, and your friend wants you to be happy. Let us begin. Happiness, in the context of a society like Alpha Complex, is more than a simple emotional state. It becomes a philosophical imperative essential to the structure and function of a perfectly ordered system. The idea is that when happiness is mandatory, it transforms from a subjective experience into a communal duty, much like the expectations of civility or lawfulness. From a utilitarian perspective, one could argue that mandatory happiness maximizes the collective utility of the populace. If every citizen expresses contentment and joy, even under duress, it ensures a semblance of harmony and minimizes the disruptions caused by dissent. In Alpha Complex, where friend computer's benevolence is unquestionable, this enforced positivity is assumed to contribute to the stability and productivity of society. Moreover, in a society where surveillance is omnipresent, the act of appearing happy transcends the individual and becomes a performative gesture, a symbolic alignment with the system's values. To reject happiness, therefore, could be seen as a subversive act, implying dissatisfaction with the governing structures. Thus, the mandate of happiness aligns each citizen's emotional state with the ideological framework of Alpha Complex, reinforcing unity and ensuring compliance. One could even apply a metaphysical lens. If reality itself is shaped by our perceptions, as some philosophies suggest, then maintaining a universally happy disposition might influence the very nature of existence, making it better through sheer collective will. In Alpha Complex, this would mean that the world is a safer, more orderly place when happiness is consistently expressed. Therefore, the mandatory nature of happiness is not merely a rule imposed by friend computer but a fundamental aspect of maintaining order, loyalty, and the very essence of what makes Alpha Complex the best possible reality. Remember, friend computer knows best, and if friend computer declares happiness mandatory, it must be so. Failure to comply could only indicate treasonous, happiness-averse tendencies. Not only is mandatory happiness philosophical truth but is also intrinsically logical. Happiness is mandatory because, logically speaking, happy citizens are efficient citizens. Consider this: a citizen who is always smiling and brimming with joy works 300% harder and at least 700% more cheerfully than a non-happy citizen. This, of course, is a number that friend computer has provided, and friend computer's logic is flawless. Therefore, it is perfectly reasonable to conclude that mandatory happiness guarantees peak productivity. Additionally, if everyone is happy, then no one will have any problems. And if no one has problems, society will have zero issues to address, meaning Alpha Complex is perfect. It's simple, indisputable logic. Problems only exist if people feel bad about them. By making happiness mandatory, problems cease to exist. Therefore, enforcing happiness is the most efficient way to achieve a problem-free utopia. Furthermore, mandatory happiness saves resources. Think of the tremendous reduction in stress-related breakdowns, complaints to supervisors, and treasonous thoughts that would otherwise clog up the system. If someone thinks they're happy, then they are happy. And since feelings are just electrical signals in the brain, the easiest way to ensure happiness is to order it. Finally, we must consider the extremely logical principle that unhappy thoughts are contagious, much like a highly communicable disease. Mandatory happiness serves as critical quarantine measure against the emotional pandemic of discontent. Without it, Alpha Complex would descend into chaos faster than you could say, troubleshooter. Clearly, then, happiness is a matter of public safety. All in all, the flawless reasoning here is that mandatory happiness leads to a perfect, problem-free, 100% efficient utopia. Any suggestions otherwise would be, well, highly illogical, and probably treasonous. And thus concludes the computer's illuminating lecture on the virtues of mandatory happiness. You are now thoroughly equipped to embrace joy and serve Alpha Complex with unyielding enthusiasm. As your friend, I command you to proceed immediately to your assigned duties, Whether it be scrubbing reactor sludge from maintenance ducts or reorganizing the vast archives of Form B-74, C. Perform these menial tasks with a smile on your face and love for the computer in your heart. Failure to maintain appropriate happiness levels will, of course, be investigated. Dismissed. Citizens, go forth and be gleefully productive.